I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host Shalom Klein has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
And indeed, we're all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business. Here you're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you're there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. So let's jump right in. I'm so excited to be joined by the author of The Dream Machine, and that's Dane Espegard. And Dane is a culture consultant who teaches, assists, and executes the implementation of a culture centered around dream achieving, something I'm very passionate about. Dane, welcome to the program.
Hey, happy to be here.
Oh, it's awesome to have you. So I love to get to know the person behind the microphone. Dane, tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you became so passionate about building dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. I've spent basically right out of high school, I had the opportunity to work with a direct sales organization, Vector Marketing and Cutco Cutlery. And that company introduced me to not just sales and entrepreneurship, but also to the world of personal growth. And at a conference within that organization, they had a guest speaker, Matthew Kelly, come in and took us through a dreams workshop. And that was in 2007. That has sat with me ever since. And so over the course of the last 9 years in my organization, I've established a system centered around helping people to achieve their dreams. And so we help them identify their dreams, create their dreams list, or their menu as we call it, and then set those as objectives. Instead of focusing more on work, we focus more on the individual and how they can reach their dreams.
That's awesome, Dane. That's fantastic. And you obviously are very focused on how to help dreams come true, but also, of course, help to drive impact within companies like many of those tuning in to Get Down to Business today. So I've got a lot to ask you about, but I do want to mention again this book, The Dream Machine, and it's a leader's guide to creative teams and high performers and how to achieve those extraordinary outcomes, which is fantastic. So Dane, why is this topic of dreams? Why is it so important? Why does it matter so much right now?
I think the topic always matters. I think why it matters more possibly right now. I think in the pandemic, if anybody's followed along, there's been this thing coined as the Great Resignation, and as a result, people kind of hitting the pause button and saying, is the way that I'm doing life right now the way that I want to keep doing life? And as a result, people have been shifting, changing companies, working remote, doing a bunch of different things that have really changed the way that the workplace looks. And through a lot of studies so far, surveys have shown that people are what they want is to be valued for who they are, not necessarily for what they do as a job. And I think that with dreams, it allows the workplace, right? If I'm an employer, it allows me to be focused on who that person is and what they're trying to do in life. And work then becomes the vehicle for that instead of the main focus, right? The whole work to live to work balance.
Absolutely. So, a common question that comes up is when we're talking about dreams, that's great, but often the words of goals and dreams are associated with each other. What is the difference in your mind between a goal and a dream, and why specifically do you call your book The Dream Machine? Why is that your area of focus?
Yeah, I think when it comes to goals, I've been helping people go through the goal setting process for the past 15 years. And what I see all the time is that people will set a goal that they absolutely know that they can hit. And that's not really what the true intent of goal setting is. Goal setting, in my opinion, is meant to really stretch somebody to be able to go after something that's maybe out of reach, to see who they become in the process, and then also be able to think bigger on the next go around. And but subconsciously, we want to hit our goals, we want to look good, and so we'll set things that are always within reach. What I think of when it comes to dreams is I think dreams are that ungrounded version, that ability to just say, hey, what if, right? Not that you have to do this. The way that we explain dreams are someday, maybe, potentially, but you're not committing to this necessarily. So if anything were possible, if there were no limitations, what would you be excited about? And the reason I think this plays is that, there's so often, I was just listening to a podcast this morning where the individual said, the 12-year younger version of myself would have never believed what I was doing right now. And I thought about that, and it's like, it's so difficult for us to be able to see a decade. Tony Robbins says the average person overestimates what they can do in a year and underestimates what they can do in a decade. And so I think that this dreaming concept allows us to detach from the current and be able to think again, maybe like we were when we were teenagers or even younger, to say, what if, and how could I, get there in the future? And then in terms of the book, the reason it's called The Dream Machine is when I heard the speaker Matthew Kelly talk about the Dream Manager, he was talking about in an organization paying somebody whose main job was just to help people accomplish their dreams and identify what those are. And within my organization, I didn't necessarily have the budget to be able to support one person in that role. And so I had to come up with a creative way of having this be an organic system that was kind of built from the ground up. And that's what we've built with the Dream Machine. And so the concepts in the book are everything that I've been doing for the past 9 years as a small business owner. And the book's written to basically take any business owner from A to Z of how to do this on their own.
Absolutely, absolutely. So culture, I want to talk about that because I know that that's something that you are very skilled in, and I know that you've helped to drive many companies' culture for the past number of years that you've been focused on this. So I don't want to share all the secrets with our listeners, but I know everybody's nodding their head furiously. Entrepreneurs, small businesses, and they're saying, okay, I want culture, but I'm so tiny. Culture doesn't matter in my organization. So I have to ask in a few steps, how can a company start to create and drive their own culture?
Yeah, I think number one, when it comes to culture creation, is the CEO, is the founder, is the leadership team, do they know what they actually want it to look like and feel like? And I think writing out an exercise of just, here's the ideal organization that we want to have here. And so often people are recruiting people to their business of the business that they have right now and today, instead of the business that they're building and growing to. And so I think the first step is figuring out, how do we what's the ideal image of our organization, and stating that and getting clear on it. And then, in my experience, the leader's the chokehold or the accelerator. And so when it comes to the dreams concept, one of the things that I teach organizations is that the leader needs to be willing to live it themselves, but also to live it out loud and to be the example. And with this, what's great is that there's this interesting progression or growth that an organization or a leader will go through, where a lot of times they want to grow into a leadership position or an ownership position to be able to have a certain lifestyle that maybe they saw in somebody else. But then when they reach that level, they stop sharing that lifestyle of what they're doing publicly, because they may feel bad that, well, the other people on my team, maybe they don't have the same autonomy or the same finances to travel like I am or take days off like I am. And so what happens is they actually stop the growth and the attractiveness of other people in that organization because of their own, bias around it. And what I found with the dreams concept is it actually gives the leader permission to do those things and to be vocal about it, and actually have the people on their team support it because they're also supporting them. So it's living their own dreams publicly in front of the team.
The author of The Dream Machine, and we've been chatting a little bit about goals, dreams. We've been talking about creating culture. So now I want to talk about the book, Dream Machine. How are you aiming to impact people's lives? What's the big takeaway that somebody that picks up a copy of the book can expect after reading?
Yeah, the goal when I wrote the book was for any business owner, leader, influencer within our organization to be able to take the book and then just to be able to run with it. And what I mean by that is not need additional services, just A to Z, here's how I can implement it on my own. So that's the way the book is written. We didn't, hold anything back in the book, and I really kind of put it all out there. And my mission with this is to try and help as many people as possible to kind of get attached to what their goals are and live a more excited and engaged life. And so I made the decision at the beginning of this year to start giving away copies of the book online, just like PDF versions. So if somebody's interested in grabbing that, They can go to my website for free. It's just daneespegard.com/free gift. And they can download a free PDF that can get them started at least on that process.
Well,
and then if somebody is interested in partnering, we have those services also. But for many, they can be self-sufficient with it.
Well, who doesn't like a free gift? That website, again, is daneespegard.com. And Dane, again, bringing a successful people-oriented method to market with his latest book, The Dream Machine. Certainly enjoyed our conversation. I've learned a lot in this conversation. Dane, one more time, can you share your website and how people can get that free gift?
Yes, it's daneespegard.com. That's the website. And if you enter /free gift, that's where I'll take you right to a spot to be able to get the downloadable version.
Fantastic. Dane, thanks so much for sharing your advice and expertise with our listeners. I look forward to having you back on real soon. Coming up after the break, we've got more small business jobs and entrepreneurship, and you can always get a sneak peek of who's going to be on next week on the show, all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship on my website, shalomklein.com. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.